Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about the recent motion rulings in the Kyle Rittenhouse case regarding the evidence that can be presented at trial. So stay tuned. One of the things that lawyers do when they want to sort of understand what the battlefield is going to be like at trial is they file certain motions called motions in limine. I believe I've done a video here on what motions in limine are. I certainly have done a short on that subject. But a motion in limine basically says, what are you going to rule on this case with regard to evidence? And the judge will issue a ruling as to what his ruling is going to be when that comes up. If it goes against the party, they still have the right to attempt to get it in at trial. They just have to make a record for appeal if they don't get the job done. But in this case, the case is being tried to a judge in Wisconsin, and the judge has a problem with the use of the word victim. And there's a reason for that. Victim is a very loaded word. It suggests that somebody did nothing wrong and something really bad just happened to them. It just fell out of the universe and landed on top of them like a pile of bricks. Well, that's not what happened in this case. Just to refresh your memory, Kyle Rittenhouse is charged with shooting 3 people, killed one of them, and the allegation is that he didn't have any justification for doing so, that he was essentially not privileged to do so, he wasn't in fear of his life. All of that is alleged in the complaint. And you have to remember that the complaint is only a statement of allegations, and allegations are always based on observations, and observations are colored by perception. So if you go and you look at the video that's taken, and this is one reason why lawyers hate video, because even video can be misinterpreted. There is a scene before the first shooting where Kyle is running away. Now, I would point out that one of the things that we teach people to do in defensive gun use classes is run away, get out of the zone of danger if you can. It is far better to get away and not have to shoot somebody than to have to shoot somebody while you're trying to get away. He was trying to get away, he was attacked, and he fired his weapon. And then, when he left that scene because he was going to be attacked again, he was attacked by 2 people, one with a skateboard and one with a loaded pistol. Now, in the complaint, it very clearly says that he was shot when his hands were up. The guy with the gun who is trying to shoot Kyle supposedly was shot when his hands were up. I'm going to post a picture right here, and you can look at this and you can see that the gun is pointing down toward Kyle. It is not, he doesn't have his hands up. And there is something called a delay in reaction time. In other words, when you see that gun coming up, you have absolutely no idea, if you're a self-defender, whether that gun is coming up preparatory to shooting you, right? It's coming up like this. You don't know whether it's going to continue to come up and point at you and shoot you, or whether the guy is actually raising both hands. And in this case, the allegation is that he was raising both hands, but you have to realize that allegation is made by somebody who has a career as being a criminal. He's got numerous arrests and several convictions, from what I understand. At any rate, the judge is not allowing these people to be identified as victims, and there's a good reason for that, because that was a night of lawlessness in Kenosha. And there were riots all over the place. Places were being burned down. Dumpsters were being set on fire. There was all kinds of mayhem going on that night. And honestly, nobody who was out there that wasn't trying to protect life and property, as Kyle Rittenhouse was an innocent person. They're out there and they know what they're doing, and they're just out there running amok. So they're not victims, and I think the judge's ruling is pretty clear on that, and I think it's a pretty good ruling. But be that as it may, that's not the only ruling that came out of this. And I want to plug a really good channel on here. It's called Viva Fry, Frei. He has Robert Barnes, who's involved in that defense case, on his vlog from time to time. And they have a thing that goes on Sunday night where they talk about these cases, and they talked about this one recently. And I would encourage you to listen to what Mr. Barnes has to say on that particular channel, on that particular vlog, because it really is interesting what he has to say about what they're doing and the unfairness that is attendant. One of the things that happens in a trial is you get a scheduling order. You have until this date to name your expert. You have until this date to get your expert in for a deposition. And the other side has until this date to name its expert and this date to get its expert deposed. Well, in this case, the state didn't name an expert, and they named an expert out of time and tried to get it in. At least that's what Mr. Barnes says. I have no personal knowledge of that. That's what he said. So there are some issues with regard to that. The other really interesting thing is that the judge has said that the defense may refer to the people who were shot here as rioters and looters and arsonists, because rioting, looting, and arson are all involved in the video that you will see that night. One of the claims that Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't really in danger is that somebody was throwing what appeared to be a plastic bag. Well, when I watched the video in real time, it looks to me to be a flaming bag of something. It was either a Molotov cocktail or it was a flaming bag of something, and I suspect it was a flaming bag of something. What, I don't have any idea, but that's what I see when I look at the video. Well, generally speaking, fire can kill you, and particularly if it gets in your clothing or gets on your face, can cause serious bodily harm. So I don't think that was the person that Kyle shot, but nevertheless, he was under threat that night. And I think that's an important thing to remember in the context of that case. Now, the jury selection doesn't begin until the first week in November. It'll be very interesting to see how that jury picking, how it goes, how people are selected for the jury. I believe this judge will be very fair. He will make sure that people who should not be on that jury are not on that jury to the extent that he can. There are going to be people who lie to get on the jury, just as there was in the case of Derek Chauvin. There was a person who lied in order to get onto the jury. That has not yet been resolved. Hopefully they'll be able to keep that from happening in this case, and they will have done enough research and investigation prior to the actual trial and prior to the jury selection to know the backgrounds of some of these people who are coming in to serve as jurors. So that's where we're at with the Kyle Rittenhouse case. For those of you who don't know, I believe he certainly did have the right to defend himself. I believe it was probably parental negligence to allow a 17-year-old boy to cross state lines with a rifle and go defend other people's property. I don't know what his mother was thinking, but whatever it was that she was thinking, she wasn't thinking very clearly. The easiest thing to do in that situation is to stay home. As I tell people time and time again when I talk on this subject, stay at home. If you're involved and you see a crime happening, be a good witness. Don't intervene unless your life is in danger. Unfortunately, when you're 17 years old and you want to be a hero, sometimes you make bad decisions. But bad decisions shouldn't ruin the rest of your life. And hopefully the jury will see that and they will make the right call. So, that's where we are on the Kyle Rittenhouse case. I'd love to hear your comments. Put them down below, positive or negative. Just please keep them family friendly, let's say. A lot of times people make ugly comments on here, and I don't know what good it does because you're not hurting me. You're just kind of making yourself look silly. Also, I'd appreciate it if you enjoyed this video, if you'd slap that like button and give me a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, go over here and click on the subscribe icon so that you can be notified anytime we release a video on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will catch you on here next time.